Beautiful sunny day, late spring, and today is a special day. Even though the lake is flat and beautiful, we are not going on a boat trip, but today is a special day because we are replacing the carpet inside the boat with some vinyl planking, and it's going to look a lot better and wear a lot better, and we are super excited. Here we are in the salon, and you can see that it has carpet throughout. It's in pretty good shape, but we've noticed after owning the boat for a little over a year that it doesn't take much to get the carpet dirty, and we think that with our dog and getting on and off to go to beaches or dinghy rides or whatever, even with good shoe management, we're still finding the carpet hard to maintain. So we are going to keep the wood floor under the settee. We're going to keep the carpet border around the bottom, but we're going to replace all of the carpet throughout the living area. We're going to replace the carpet going down the stairs and down the hallway, and try and do a pro job of trimming out around that floor hatch. We're also going to pull up this little chunk of hardwood here that is in the galley, and have the floor all be one type of flooring all the way through. So last look at the carpet, getting ready to start demo and start tearing out the carpet, and looking forward to the new luxury vinyl planking. Man, it is a beautiful day today. I'll show you around a little bit of the harbor. It's a little bit of a wind, not much. Good for sailing, for all my sailing friends out there, but take a look at this. The water is sparkling and blue, and the sky is blue, and it's finally warm. It's just a beautiful time in northern Michigan. So we're gonna head down to the boat and check on the progress of the flooring. Gonna use this cork for a spacer under the floor. Is it working okay? Cork's working okay?
I prefer this one.
Ah, okay.
Because this cord,
Too thick?
yeah, it's too thick.
We are trying out a few different underlayment materials to use as spacers under a few of the planks of the floor. The large sections you see in the white fiberglass subfloor are actually removable panels. That is the ceiling of the engine room And should there ever be a catastrophic failure of the engine, we would need to remove those panels. So we're trying out some cork, we're trying out some foam underlayment. The red foam underlayment seems to be about the right thickness and compression.
So we've got the hatch all prepped, and we're gonna try and cut the flooring very tightly along the edge and try not to have any trim pieces. We're a little worried if as the hatch opens and closes, if that will cause any damage to the floor. You know, this hatch has to open, and we're going to try and run the floor as tight as we can to cover that gap. We'll just have to see how that goes. There are some trim pieces we can put around the edge if that seems to not work over time. We did get lucky and found the steps were made out of plywood, so just like a new home, we'll be able to do the steps like we would in new construction. And we are going to leave the carpet on the risers, just a little easier, give it a little bit softer look. And since we're leaving the carpet on the walls, it'll sort of match with that. So we're making good progress. Got some good guys on the job here, and just keep it going. Well, here we are with a little deflated Mr. Furley. We have yet to get him down to the water. We're hoping to do that real soon here. But we have one little project we have to take care of. Late last summer, we noticed Mr. Furley was taking on some water, and we couldn't figure out why. We replaced the seals on the drain, and all of the tubes held good air, and we couldn't figure out why he was taking on water. Not bad, just about a couple cups every day. And then when we pulled it out of the water in the fall, we found this. What we have here is where they've glued the PVC to the fiberglass hull, and there's just the smallest rip here allowing water to get in. So we're going to fill this. First we're going to blow it out clean. Then we're going to fill this with some marine adhesive, let that cure up, and then I have a patch to put over this section here, and hopefully that'll keep the water out. So I was just getting set up, getting things cleaned, and getting ready to handle the leak on the port side tube, where the port side tube joins the fiberglass frame near the stern. And I happened to look over to the starboard side, and the exact same spot is beginning to wear there. So I think I'm going to put a reinforcement patch over that area as well. I can show you that I think this rail rubs whenever you beach the tender, and I think this spot is starting to wear. It's not bad, it's mostly just scratched, but I'm also going to get a patch maybe over this just as some reinforcement. It seems to be a wear spot, so we're going to fix up both sides while we're doing this project. So our first step is it's been in the barn all winter, so we're pretty sure it's dry. I'm going to take some compressed air, and I want to blow out any debris or maybe any moisture that's still in here before I put any adhesive in. Well, I've got some 5200 and a couple of toothpicks, and I've cut the smallest hole I could possibly cut in the applicator tube, and I'm going to try and get it down in there, and then take a few of these toothpicks and work it down into the tear as deep as I can get it. So pretty happy with that. You can see it's way down in there. It's kind of mushing out. We filled it pretty good. I'm going to put some painter's tape over it to try and pinch it together while it sets up overnight. And I think that's pretty. I think that alone would stop the leak. But we're going to go ahead and try and do it right and patch over that once it sets up. Day 2 of our flooring project. Heading down to check on the progress and see if I can help, or maybe help better by just staying out of their way. But it's another nice day, a little hazy, but maybe we'll wrap it up today, take a look and see how things are going.
Hello. Hi.
Buenos dias, hermano.
Oh, it looks amazing.
Leyenda.
La leyenda. Es mi esposa, Kathy.
Kathy,
Hi.
to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
It looks very nice. We decided on the step. We're going to try and run this as close to the hinge as we can, and then put a piece in behind so the step can still open. So this is the hatch to our sump system. All of the drains from all the gray water sinks and everything go to a sump pump that's under that hatch. We have to leave that accessible in case there's any repairs or for routine cleaning. So very precise cuts. It's going to be a little bit tricky, but the guys working on this floor are excellent craftsmen. I mean, their cuts are amazing. We think it's going to work out fine. We're trying to get it so the cuts are so clean that we don't need a trim piece along the edge. Over time, if that happens to chip or isn't as precise as we think, because this hatch isn't also perfect, we can come back with some trim pieces on the edge, but we're going to go with no trim for the time being. You can see here that the fiberglass floor underneath the carpet is a little rough, but that's okay because we're trying to glue some of these planks down. You're not supposed to, it's a floating floor, but in some areas we think the glue will hold a little better. We're going to get into the cabins on both sides of the hall. It's a step down into the cabin, which is nice because all we'll need here is just a stair nosing to trim this off. So that's going to look really nice, and that should work out great. This is the stair nosing trim to get the front edges of all the stairs, and we'll probably also use it to step down into each of the cabins. But it's color matched to the floor, and that nosing should round over the end. Kathy and I had hoped to do more of this floor, a little more DIY than we did, but boy, the two guys working on this project, I just can't believe these cuts. These are curved cuts. Every single board in the boat here, other than the long planks to fill in the body of the floor, has been some kind of custom cut, and these guys have just done a fantastic job with all the cuts, all the round special fits that they had to do. It's really amazing. and I feel we're probably much further ahead by just staying out of their way and letting them do it. You can see he's got very clean cuts to the door, trap door, but the trap door moves, so I'm going to glue it to this surface and leave a small gap, and then it's up to the boat owner to be careful and not chip it. But man, does it look nice. We are really happy with the way the marine adhesive settled down into the cut and sort of leveled itself out. And now it is time to tape everything off, sand it, and get the patches going. We're going a little longer than we probably need to with our glue area because the patch has to fold over these weird shapes, and we want enough flat area for the glue to grab onto. We're not sure it'll grab the best on this little lip, so I'm gonna go kind of wide with the patch area just to make sure it's got enough flat spot to grab onto. Like I had mentioned, we're going to do this side also. You can see it's starting to wear. It hasn't torn, but we're going to do the exact same patch on this side just as sort of a reinforcement. So we're going to tape that off the same way.
Alright, first step is to lightly sand it and scuff up the surface.
We've lightly sanded it, and now we're using a little acetone.
Measure twice, cut once, or just eyeball it?
We're just gonna eyeball it.
That's what I already did.
We are winging this a bit because of this curved surface that we have to protect. This is going to be a very hard thing to patch and get this to bend over. We're going to try. Again, we're pretty confident that the marine adhesive will stop the water. This is more of a protective layer, but this is going to be a little tricky going around here. The adhesive is a two-part mixture. It's 25-to-1, so it's this entire can and this entire bottle of hardener. And since we only have to do these two patches, we're just going to mix up the whole thing and not try and save it. I don't know how long it will last, so might be a little overkill, but we're going to get it mixed up.
We mix this together, and we're going to put the first coat on both the patches and the dinghy itself. Both of the patch areas that first coated, and we did the patches we're going to put on top of the dinghy first coated. We wait a half hour, come do it again. These are loud.
the correct rollers, so we're repurposing some of our old paint rollers.
Freestyling.
Freestyle.
Not bragging or nothing.
We think one of these patches looks a little more pro than the other. If you want to comment below who you think did which side, feel free. We know the truth.
Yep, we do.
Well, there you go. PVC reinforcement on that side. PVC patch on that side. Again, the hole was here. We patched it. A little splice in the patch, so we went over the splice with the 5200, but the actual problem is back here. Not sure that'll hold up, but the leak was so slow that we think we fixed the problem. So, good job, and we are ready to launch Mr. Furley and get him back down to Andromeda. Thought we'd get a good look at the finished product. The laminate flooring is done. It looks incredible. Couldn't be happier. A few little trim details that I'm going to work on, but they're no big deal and most people wouldn't even notice, but I notice. So I'm going to want to take care of those, but I'll give you a quick look here at the finished product. So on the Sea Rays, when they carpeted, they also did the base trim underneath the cabinets out of carpet. We removed all that and put a flexible black molding. It's called a mop board, but it's a black vinyl with adhesive and it's flexible, and it really gives it a sharp finished look. So very nice job on that. Just to highlight some of the tricky cuts and fitting that they had to do, you can see that here's the old early 2000s indirect lighting. Might replace that or get rid of it, but this is a carpet baseboard. We left it under the furniture because it matches the furniture, but that is the carpet baseboard that was run throughout the boat. However, I think this black stuff looks way better. The stairs turned out really good, even with all the crazy cuts. We had to leave a little bit of a gap back here because this is where the hinge is, and these stairs lift up to access one of the heat pumps and to get to the back of the washer and dryer. But other than that little hinge strip, which you can barely see anyway, I think the stairs turned out great. Down in the hallway to get to the staterooms, there's a large hatch in the center of the floor. It's great storage forward, and our gray water sump is located here. So we had to leave access to that system and still get the floor to fit in there nicely. Now, we did not trim the edges of the hatch. We left them raw, tried to match them about the width of the planking, of the natural planking that came with the floor. So we're hoping for the best. If they happen to chip a little bit, we may go with a trim piece around the edge. If it chips, otherwise we think it's okay. We don't access this panel very often, and so we thought it was best to leave it like this rather than putting some bulky trim around the edge to trip over and possibly crack. So we think that looks really good. The only unfinished bit that I'm going to try and tackle, it's low on the priority list, but it will drive me nuts if I don't do something. The carpet was so much thicker that this vinyl wall treatment was hidden. The base of it was held to the wall because the carpet was so thick. So the carpet was wedged in and you couldn't see it. But now that we're down lower, I'm going to look for a small tan or gray flexible trim that I can use some adhesive and glue on there. We can't nail because the walls are fiberglass, so nails will just, they won't penetrate. But I believe I can find something flexible in a similar color just to trim that out. Again, if it doesn't happen before we leave, oh well, we still think the floor turned out excellent. I was able to get Mr. Furley this far with the truck and sort of drop him off here at the turnaround, and now I have to get him all the way down the dock and somehow use those carts or try and convince somebody to help me carry him down to the end of the dock. Got Mr. Furley down to the boat, or down to the marina, working on getting the dinghy back down to the swim platform. We want to put the dinghy on the swim platform and adjust the front and rear chocks to the contour of the bottom of Mr. Furley. We think that because these were set up for the old owner, the little bit of an angle difference may have been what created the rub marks that created the hole where the tubes join the hull. So we're going to get Furley on here, deflated, and adjust those chocks to the exact correct angle so the entire rubber pad is in contact with the bottom of the dinghy. And then we will inflate Mr. Furley and bring the motor down, and we should be good to go. So this is the issue we're having. This side seems to rest pretty good against the keel and one of the chines. This one's not even touching, and it's dangerously close to tearing the tube. So we're going to lower this end down and get this end to come up, and it's kind of tricky working underneath the dinghy on the swim platform. So we were able to level out both sides to where they ride on a chine, and grab the V. They are in contact with a lot of the hull. I think it's just the way it is with how close it is to our tubes, but they are rubber. We're just gonna have to be careful sliding it back and forth, but it seems to be far enough away. So we've got it sitting in there good, and the good news is the ones on the stern were nowhere near where we had our leak problems, so that wasn't the cause of the problem, but now we know the dinghy sits in there nice and secure. So there's the stern chalk sitting on the chine. Up here is where we had our wear problem, so that must be from previous owner of the dinghy just dragging it, or possibly from beaching it, or it might just be a weak spot in the design, but it's reinforced now, and it is sitting on there touching 2 points on both sides, and no matter what angle we put that at, it was only 2 solid contact points, so we're comfortable with that. It's secure and we're ready to rock.